Hey, Ernesto. Do you think it's time for another video? You're right. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. As we go about our lives, we are constantly monitoring, commenting, evaluating, and judging our own actions, our decisions, our experiences, and the reality that surrounds us. We are, in a way, narrating our own lives. And even though this inner commentator lives in our heads all the time, we don't usually consciously hear that voice. Simply, I think, because of habituation. It's the same reason you feel a watch on your wrist when you're wearing one for the first time, but after you get used to it, you don't register it anymore. The stimulus hasn't changed, our perception of it faded. Our inner voices are and have been with us all our life, usually changing only gradually, if and when they change at all. It's not surprising then that we often don't even realize they are there. While our subjective experience of this world is influenced by many things, our preconceptions and previous experiences, our biases, our hopes and fears, our language and culture, as well as our general attitude towards life, I would argue that these inner voices are one of the strongest influences on the perceived color of our daily experience. I don't remember exactly how or when it began. It was sometime within my final years of school when I first became fascinated with the phenomenon of introspection. But one day I started paying close attention to those evaluating voices inside my head, to the way I was treating myself, to the words and tone I was using when talking to myself, and questioning it. Looking back, I do believe that this little habit was one of the smallest things that had the strongest impact in helping me develop a healthy relationship with myself. Relationships are built by interactions. Kind, understanding, friendly, and loving interactions define friendly and loving relationships, just like abusive, violent, harmful interactions shape abusive and violent relationships. The same applies to your relationship with yourself, but this one is different. After all, it is the most private and intense relationship you will ever have. By definition, you can't quit it, you can't break up, can't escape it, but you can change it. In fact, you are the only one who can. It's almost scary how normal this is, but we sometimes say horrible things to ourselves. Things we would never say to someone else, much less someone we care about.
Why can't you be normal? You idiot! You're just never gonna learn. You shouldn't be feeling sad now, you know. You don't deserve to be loved.
I used to say things like that to myself all the time, even after I became consciously aware of it. Changing that inner monologue wasn't and isn't a trivial task, as it sometimes involves challenging deeply rooted notions and beliefs, not the least of those challenges being to internalize that you actually don't deserve to be treated like that by anyone, not even yourself. But it all starts with simply paying attention. I invite you to consider these questions. When you look at how you treat yourself in your mind, think, for example, of when you make a mistake. If someone else treated you that way, would you want that person to be around? Or would you ever go and treat a friend the way you're treating yourself if they made that mistake? If you can comfortably answer these two questions with a yes, that is amazing. It's a strong sign of a peaceful mental atmosphere. So take a moment and appreciate it, because it's definitely not something to be taken for granted. But if you can't comfortably answer these two questions affirmatively, then this could be exciting, because now could be the moment you start walking towards a better relationship with yourself. and I truly believe that any step in that direction is extremely valuable. Of course, give it time, it's definitely a process. To this day, I find it easier to forgive a friend for their mistakes than to forgive myself for mine. But I'm working on it. At the very least, I can already forgive myself for not being quite there yet. But what about striving for something better? Isn't it the case that we are rougher on ourselves as compared to other people just because we want to hold ourselves to a higher standard so we can be the best version of ourselves? There's nothing inherently wrong with trying to push yourself towards certain goals, but the real question is, how are you framing that inner conversation? Think about what makes a good coach as opposed to an abusive one. Being kind with yourself does not mean letting everything slip. When you are tempted to make a bad decision, a good friend is the one that will try to offer resistance, not the one that goes along with whatever you want in the moment. But when you do slip, fail, or struggle, a good friend will be understanding, supportive, and constructive in their criticism. I'm convinced there's no good reason to treat yourself any worse than you would treat a friend. You deserve nothing short of kindness, acceptance, and understanding from anyone. And it's just so much easier to face the challenges we face when instead of being your own bully, you become your own ally.